Euge Valovirta, and welcome to Roope's YouTube channel. And he is Roope.
Yeah. What a great start.
Amazing start.
Strong start.
Strong start. This is part 2. Part 1 is on my YouTube channel, link in the description below. So in order for you to make any sense out of this, I think you should watch the part 1 first and then come back to this, because the part 1 was a little bit of our history, how we met, and this is more about the gear we both use, we like, and the intro song, we're gonna go through what gear we used on that. That's the same song as jamming noodling than on the part 1 video. But anyway, welcome to Roope's YouTube channel.
You're a great host.
Thank you.
You should visit on my channel more often.
Yes, I can do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the gear, you can go through the gear, because I don't honestly know. I mean, it sounds great, and this is the Nano Cortex, and but you can go through the gear and stuff, because like I said, you have created these sounds, these profiles, which by the way you can buy. Strong recommendation. Link to Roope's shop in the description below, where you can get all these sounds for Nano or Quad Cortex and Fractal.
Fractal, XFX and FM9.
Yes. So yeah, so what I was using?
You were using a Nano Cortex.
Yes.
And I decided that in this video we both use digital stuff, so no one can come here and say the amp sounds better. So starting point is quite equal.
Good.
Yeah. So we both are on a digital platform.
Yes.
At the moment, and you were playing through the Nano Cortex, and there an intro song you were using my Soldano X88 capture. From the Nano Cortex, there's a little bit chorus and widening going on, and also a circular delay. I think that is for our both.
Yeah, we both like Lexicon PCM70's preset circular delays, which was heavily used by Luke.
Yeah, and all these session guys.
Luke needs to look at her. Yeah. Because it's a great delay, because it's like the name suggests, it's kind of circulates, so it's like a delay, but it also gives the sense of like a space, that there's almost like a reverb, because the delays kind of circulate, so it just gives this nice, let me show you, kind of this moving, so it's not just kind of static, and I love that that delay.
And it makes the guitar sound more lively, because the delay comes here and there, and not always from the same source. Same.
And it comes from center also. Yeah, because there's left, right, and there's different times, so it creates this.
And also, I guess there is some phase shifting going on, because it sounds like a 3D.
Yeah, it's very 3D. It's very. I mean, I use not just guitars. I've used circular delays on vocals when I've been mixing, just to give a sense of space. Because sometimes reverb only. In general, I'm not that big fan of reverb on guitars. Like only, it's cool. I do use reverb, but usually it's if I have like a dual delay, like Van Halen style. Many times I blend. I'm sending that delay to reverb, so it kind of softens. But circular delays, I very rarely use reverb, because you kind of have that sense of smooth.
Yeah.
And it's just a lively. To me, it sounds. The delay in general sounds a little bit more interesting than reverb. I mean, circular delay and kind of dual delay, but it's important that it's like this kind of delay.
I think the big part when it comes to using reverb on guitar tones is that most of the time many guitarists, when they build their pedal boards and build their digital rigs in the modelers, is that because everything is in series and not like we use in a DAW and mixing situations.
Yeah.
So the reverb sounds mushy and like shit because every other effects is piled and pushing through that reverb. So in my case is why I ended up using Fractal is because the routing is really flexible.
So you can have parallel.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
yeah.
all my time-based effects are in parallel compared to each other. So delay won't see the reverb, or reverb won't see delay. So it makes that I have whole stereo spectrum to use.
Yeah.
And I can place my effects, and they can be quite wet when you're listening the track in a solo.
Yeah.
But in a mix, their effects has their own spaces, and the dry sound comes from the center, and there is nothing.
Yeah, I do that too, and the levels when you dial, at least when I dial, and that's I think in general very common that when you now the delay is great, but then when you have the full band going on, it's like, where is the delay everywhere? They're too quiet. So it's like with anything, with mixing, or if you're dialing your live sounds, do those in a context when there's full band. Because like I use Quad Cortex live, and when I started to use that, I had my delays and stuff. Okay, it sounds pretty good. But then when I went to the first rehearsals, or actually I used Quad Cortex first time on a show.
Yeah.
I just, dived straight to the deep end, and I just used whatever was there, and it worked great. But the only thing that was my delays were way too quiet, because I had dialed them before the show, and then during the show I couldn't use in-ears, I couldn't hear anything, so I actually increased them a lot, and they solo when I play alone it sounds like there's way too much, but then in a context when there's everything, I was like, no, it's not. And I think you can do the parallel thing kind of in a Quad Cortex, because you can split that's how I've done it, like split, and then it goes like so the dry sound is always there, and then you just kind of have like how I do in a mixing. So I always record dry, and then I add those, with faders. You can automate them and stuff, but I think your setup is you can record the effects, but they go to a different track. So you always have the I mean, I can do that too, and usually I don't record. I just use because I have a lexicon in my rack, so that's basically when I'm doing solo. So when I record vocals, it's just for monitoring, and then in a mixing I can pull up that same thing and then automate it and stuff. But so the circular delays, because it's and the sound in general. When we played here, Robe hooked this, and I was like, very familiar. So was the Soldano circular delays, and I think the IR is your Bogner cabinet with V30 and with the 57 and 121, which I use. I have a Mesa Boogie and Marshall caps with V30s, many other speakers, but 57 is always my go-to, and then sometimes I blend in the Royer. So the sound is... Like now the delay sounds pretty loud, but then you heard the mix, what we did, it wasn't that loud. It kind of blends in there and disappears.
When we go out tour with Brother Firetrap, I always want to left-right record from the house, so I want to hear how my sounds fits in the mix, and I always do a little tweaks here and there after a few shows, and that is something what when it comes to talking about guitar sounds, mainly everybody uses in-ears, and for me, my in-ear mix is really balanced. It's almost like a record mix, so everything is balanced and I can hear everything, and my guitar sits just 1 or 2 decibels above that. Back in the day, I used to have my guitar in my ears way too loud, but I couldn't hear how my sound and how my playing fits in the mix.
Yeah.
And it took a while to get used to that. You don't hear yourself as loud as you used to, but now when my brain has calibrated that I can live with that, I can now hear how the small nuances and how they're really affects. So it's more playing with the band that you are playing with yourself. And I mean when your guitar is really loud in your ears and you do like,
you hear all the mistakes.
and you're thinking, now people gonna hear my pick attack, how I change it, and holy shit, it's they're never gonna hear it. And what is great when you don't hear yourself as loud as I used to.
Mm-hmm.
I play more like a there's more energy.
More energy, because I had the same when I moved to in-ears. I also had it loud, and I started to play not as aggressively and kind of not as rock and roll and avoiding mistakes. Because before, when I didn't use, I've never even used wedges. I always dial the sound like drummer plays, then I have my tube and my cabinet, I dial the volume so that it's really balanced. So it's kind of like mix. I hear the guitar coming there, it's great, and I don't hear it that articulately, but that makes me kind of play and stuff. And then when I moved to in-ears, it's like, oh fuck. But then same happened to me. I realized that I need to actually turn it down. So my in-ear mix is now almost like what I had before, but just better. Because then everything is, no matter where I go on the stage, and the guitar isn't as loud, and my lead boost, that's 0.5 dB or 1. And that's not for the audience. We have a sound engineer who does that and does the delays and everything. I mean, I have delay, but many times I'm on that side of the stage and I just try to start to play the solo. And because most of my life I play bone dry live, but if I'm on the board, I hit the delay and then it comes a little louder. But that's just mainly for me, that I hear a little bit better when I solo. But still, the front of house guy does that, because dB isn't really that. It's just a tiny bit for me, and sometimes even that feels sometimes fuck, too loud. Let's go back, because I have like a couple of settings where one is a little bit louder, one is, and sometimes it's just because it's a feel thing. A lot of, and if the guitar is too loud, it's kind of like. You can't do, you don't, because I need to feel the drums and the bass. Like,
and you're playing with the band.
Exactly. Because we're not playing ourselves. Because really important thing in playing is obviously the playing, but listening. And listening to, like, by listening, I mean listening others. What they play, how they play, and react to that. Because, I mean, you're a band, and band should play together. So
many times people forgot to use their ears, which are the most important tool if you are making music or playing whatever you're doing. So it's the greatest tool what you can have, and you can always. It doesn't cost you anything to develop your ear. And if there's a will, there's a way.
And that comes, dialing amps and sounds, like. The question I get mostly asked that, what are my settings? They are whatever they are in any given day. What fits to that, I don't know. I like the whole concept of the settings, like, is your bass on 9 or 10? Like, I don't know. It's there where it feels good. So if you see my video, whenever I dial the sound, I do this because I don't want to even know. I just want to trust my ears, because your eyes can
trick you.
And same with mixing. if you use your eyes, I mean, sometimes it's good to use your eyes to if you hear some annoying frequency and you can see, okay, it's that there. But in general, at least I personally can achieve better sounds when I just use my ears, because I can't hear a shit with my eyes.
Yeah.
And sometimes your eyes like, oh, I can't. Sometimes I'm like, okay, where it sounds good, like I need a little bit more top edge to the guitar. Oh, there it's good. Then I'm watching like I'm boosting 15 dB of like 10k. Like, whoa, I never would have done that if I would look, but I just use. And then you're like, well, it sounds. If it sounds good, it's good.
Yeah, and it's always about the context where you are operating with your guitar. And normally, if we talk about the electric guitar, there is not many situations except Van Halen's Eruption where there is only a guitar.
Yeah.
So the high end of the drums and cymbals and everything makes big difference.
Yeah.
How you
Yeah.
adjust your, especially your high self and
Yeah.
and how bright your tone would
Yeah.
be,
Yeah.
and the EQ in the amps and everything is the most important tool with the compressor. What you can do, and I'm constantly changing my amp setup depending the song.
Yeah,
which I'm
yeah,
working
and
on.
and with what speakers I use.
Yeah.
Because the speakers make a huge. If I'm using my V30, which is pretty smooth, I might have the treble and presence more. But if I use Greenbacks, which
Yeah.
have a lot more info, that top,
Yeah.
I immediately reach
Yeah.
to the presence or treble to tame that down.
Yeah.
Because it's just like there's no, and depending the guitar, the pickup, what I want, and then when I dial sounds, when I'm mixing, reamping, I always have the full music played on,
Yeah.
and then I do, and you can only do certain amount with, because the amps EQs, it's a passive EQ, so basically your bass is a low cut. When you have it full, there's little low cut. When you turn it left, the low cut is like this, and the treble and presence are kind of like this, what leaves you with the mid knob. And the mid knob is very wide Q, usually, especially on plexis.
Yeah.
And everything affects to each other. And then, because the EQ it's a volume.
Yeah.
For, let's say, Soldano mid, the center point is towards lower mids, whereas on an 800, it's towards higher mids, and then you can control that. And then you do that. What I do, I get it as closely as possible. Okay, that's there. And then usually it requires a little bit EQing when you're mixing, either on the way in or then when you're mixing to tame down. Like, I don't like 3K and 6K.
Yeah.
Those, I always notch those down, and then you do a little tweaking. So, like, the amp settings don't really, I mean, plexi.
Yeah. It's a kind of a most simple amp you can.
Yeah,
but it's not.
Yeah, it's not. But the consoles, like, plexi sounds cool when you turn everything full up. It sounds great, and then you can do small changes, but a plexi will always sound like a plexi,
Yeah.
no matter what you do.
Yeah.
With some amps, some more modern amps, which are more surgical, you can actually kind of change the sound. Like, if there's knobs which do this and do that, then you can kind of. But with like or 800, you put everything to center and it's pretty good.
Yeah. And it's always what I get asked many times about the settings and stuff like that. So I hope people understand this. I don't want to be like a rude or evil guy, but there is no magic pill that you can take and then you have a great sound, and all the stuff you need to go through trial and error.
Yeah.
And that's what makes you learn more what is a great sound for, and even the bad
For you.
Yeah, and even the bad sound could be great sound for certain
yeah.
in the right spot.
In the right spot, because I've recorded some horrible sounds, but they just it was just the perfect sound for that part or that mix. And that magical thing, I need to quote Steve Lukather.
Yeah.
Steve Lukather once said really well, there's no magical guitars, there's no magical amps, there's no magical gear, there's only magical players.
Yeah. And especially I mean the sounds I came up is the whole thing put together what I have learned in my little journey, and it's something that you see the Rick rundowns and you check out the amp settings. Of course they're interesting, but if you put the same settings and you use different pick and slightly make a little angle, you have totally different top end and the brightness.
Yeah.
So that's why it's important that you use your own ears and what suits your technique and play.
And I guess sound wise, I think the first question, at least what I think, definitely not the settings, the speaker.
Yeah.
Because that's where the sound comes out. Like, for example, if you have the greatest CD player and amplifier, but if you have shitty speakers, so I'm always what I think first, like, what am I hearing? Like, what? Because the speakers has and again, when you listen more, your ear develops, so you can kind of, V30 has that certain V30, no matter what you do, what amp you use. Greenback has a certain, because that is, I think, what affects the tone the most is the speaker, and after that, the microphone and where you have it.
Yeah.
You move a 57 millimeter from whatever direction, the sound changes.
Yeah.
A lot more than, changing any knobs on your amp, depending of course from the amp, but yeah. So, but I know that the settings can be interesting, but I've never really.
Yeah, and I think the amp is you need to set it like fits in your playing, but the effects they are different because you can copy the delay settings and it doesn't sound different.
No, like delay settings. My dual delay settings, it's exact same as Eddie Van Halen. 398, 798, 30 repeats, and that's the circular delays. It's the stocks, and that's always because that's just an effect and stuff. And the thing about amps, question I get asked many times, that what is a good amp for playing that kind of music. It's really because I have used my 800, my bad boy, everything from like pop, hip hop to black metal.
Yeah.
Because because the amplifier, like the name suggests, it amplifies. So it amplifies your playing. If you play black metal, it amplifies black metal. Right?
Of course, they have limitations.
They have limitations and different characters. Like 800 has a certain upper mid. Plexi is a bit softer and it's kind of more because it's mostly based on power amp distortion. Soldano is probably my desert island amp because it can kind of be.
It covers everything.
It covers everything from crystal cleans to you can get like Marshall-y because the treble knob on the Soldano is kind of like upper mids.
Yeah.
So you can get that Marshall bright. You back it up. You add more presence, you get a little like 5150 territory, which is a bastard son of Soldano anyways. So that is kind of, but what affects the most to the sound is, in my opinion, the player. Really.
Yeah, sure. And I have been contacted with few viewers who have bought my fractal preset, and I always encourage them to tweak those presets. So there is a PDF sheet coming with the preset where it's detailed all the effects and what it does.
Okay.
And it's a great platform and starting point to find your own tone. But I always tell the people that it's the same preset that I use, and I made it for myself, and then I thought it would be cool to share it with people people who owns the fractal stuff could see what I have done and how I dialed the things up,
Yeah.
and then start from there. And it's a great guide also how to craft thought. But I always tell the people that tweak the preset.
And presets are really good for, like you said, for learning. Like when it comes to mixing, if I get a new plugin or whatever, I'm not that familiar, I always check the presets first, just to see what people have done, like what is that? Okay, but 99.9% I usually check out the one that I think is closest to what I'm trying to achieve and then tweak. PCM70 is probably the only device I haven't tweaked anything, because I don't dare to mess it up, because to me it's kind of complicated, and those presets, they are perfect for me. And it's the same with my hard hitters packs for Quad Cortex and Fractal. The captures are with my guitar, my whatever, and then you can, like, if you feel like, you know, the rectifier, it's too flabby. Well, to me it was great. Maybe you have a different pickup, so but then you can just, you know, because with Quad Cortex and all of those, there's the knobs that, and when everything is centered, that's kind of how I capture them, and then you can lower the bass if there's too much. Don't be afraid to completely mess with those, because those are just what worked for you and what worked for me, what I use.
And if it doesn't work, you have always the preset where you can go back to the beginning and start it again. And by the way, we forgot to tell what gear I use. So you play through the Nano Cortex, and you use the
Soldano
X88 capture.
Was there any overdrive in front?
No.
Oh, okay. It was just
the X88 has more tighter feel. It's more compared to SLO 100.
It's a little bit like 5150 and a 5152. So I have the both amps, the original ones, and with 5152 I don't use overdrive usually, because the feel, it's a lot tighter, the front end, than on the black leather, which is quite loose. So I always use an overdrive. Okay, well that's good to know.
And I used Fractal FM9, the batch, my preset, 80s preset, which I'll have a more in-depth video on this channel, so I'm not gonna go through all the features, because it has everything from 80s.
I mean, that's like.
That's my Marshall scene, and this is a Friedman HPE.
Was that the one you used?
No, I used the Marshall. I used the Marshall.
Do you know, by the way, what HBE stands for?
Heavy brown eye.
Yeah, which is, you know.
Yeah.
I think it's time to close this video. Favorite amp?
Soldano SLO 100.
Yeah.
Favorite amp?
Soldano SLO 100.
You're a great guy.
Of course, there's others. I love my 800s, but if I had to choose one, I'd probably choose that. Anyway, hey, hopefully you found this interesting and informative. This wasn't scripted at all, but maybe there was some, at least maybe you had something to think about, or then you're thinking that, you know, your shit sounds like ass. That's fine. But so this was part 2, part 1 on my, and please hit the subscribe button and bell, because Roope, unlike many others, actually knows how to play a guitar. Roope doesn't play like many. Anyway, great guy. great information, and the I mean, I use Roopes these patches for my whenever I want 80s sounds, because he has done the work, and they are fantastic. So thanks for watching. Stay tuned, and you know.
At the end, I just want to thank you for coming by, and maybe we will do a lot more.
We will do.
Yeah.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.